So far, so good. And we have learned what is an operator. We have learned Boolean. Now, from this tutorial, we are going to enter the intermediate level of Python, which means we are going to look at advanced data types. Before, we have talked about the simple data type, such as what is an integer, what is a float, and what is a Boolean, and what is a string. Now we are going to look at advanced data types. And today, or on this tutorial, we are going to talk about a list. So don't worry, it's not that difficult, but lists are used to store multiple items in one single variable. So like in array, but yes, we used to store a multiple items in a just single variable. Like this variable name here, if we use if we need to store multiple things in this variable, then we can achieve that by using lists. So now because I'm going to assign, sorry. So now because I'm going to assign multiple names, so I'm just, instead of using the single name, I'm going to use the plural, which is names. And then in order to define or to use list, you have to use a curly or a square bracket. Now here I've defined a square bracket. This is an empty list. And if I print it, you would see nothing should be printed on the screen. And if I have to check the type of the data type of it using the type function, then types, and then we just pass that variable here. And you should see here, it's a class of a list. So in order to assign a variable to it, just you have to use a curly bracket, or I mean not a curly, but a square bracket, then double quotation, because these are string values. So I'm just going to assign here my name again, which is Perino. And now if I print it, names should be Perino, should be printed here, but inside a list, of which it should be a square bracket. So that is a very basic way of just using a list. So if you want to assign a multiple value, such as more than 5 or 4 names, so we just separate them by comma. Another name such as Mark Zuckerberg, or just use another one here like sorry, Elon Musk. Oh, sorry, I put here outside of this one. So now here you can see we have 3 names, and if I define them here, or I print, you should see Perino Garang, Mark Zuckerberg, and Elon Musk. 3 of them are now being printed at one. So don't worry. Now you will ask yourself a question: why are they just all still in one single line? Don't worry. Yes, you understand this part. That's how we can assign the multiple values. And don't worry. In the next tutorial, you will understand in detail how you can use this one effectively to achieve a lot of things. Another thing that I also want to talk about is about indexing. Now you have seen here, we are able to print 3 names at once. What if we are only interested in Zuckerberg here? We don't want Perino on Elon Musk. So to achieve this one, I'm going to put the variable here, which is name, and I'm going to use a square bracket without an assignment operator. So now you have seen here what I did. If you look at the first one, we have the name variable, and we have an assignment operator to assign these values to that variable. But in the second case, I just define a name and I use the square bracket directly. Just mean I want to index something. And indexing starts from 0 going to finite numbers. So here I'm going to put, because we are starting from, because it starts from 0, which means Perino here, all the value of all 0, Mark is 1 and Elon is 2. So in order to get Mark, I have to use 1. Now we are done. And because you know that to print something on the screen, we need to use a print statement. So that's why I'm here using the print statement, and I'm just going to copy names and paste them inside this print statement here. And if I print here, you will see Zuckerberg is only printed and the rest are ignored, which is not that difficult. It's so very, very easy. And one of the cool feature about the list is that lists are mutable, which means we can change, add or remove item in list after it has been created. Unlike tuples and other, whereby we cannot do those operation on them, but in list we can add something, and it allowed duplicated items, which means we can duplicate like names, like Perino can be twice and it is accepted, which is another cool feature about it, and we will demonstrate it shortly. But before I do that, I just want to show you one of the easiest functions that can allow us to check the length of the names, of the variable names. And because we know here, name is a variable, it has the value of this list, which means it has three items, which is three people names, which is Perino, Mark, and Elon. Assume that there are 1000. There's no way we can count them manually like yes, we are doing it now. And by looking at it now, we can see we clearly have three. What if it is a very big list? How many names that we can know that they are there? We use a function called len, which is len, and then parentheses. Now, so by now you're very familiar with Python. If we need to check the length, now we have this function here. So to check the length, we just need to pass the variable that we need to check its length. In our case here, it is name. So I'm going just to pass here names. Now we are done. Because to print it on the screen, we need to use a print statement. So I'm copying it from here, and I'm going to paste it inside this print statement here. And now if I print it, it should print here 3, because now there are 3. And if I remove ln, and now if I remove ln here, it should be 2. So this is the easiest way that we can check the length of a variable that we have created. So in order to access the items manually, we have to use indexing, whereby we just need to point at a specific index like yes we have did before. And also another one thing, we can also point them anti-clockwise. For example, if I want to point Zuckerberg directly, we have a two-way. We can either point it by 1. Let me just put them in the print statement to make it very easy for us. So now here you can see it also points Zuckerberg. Oh, sorry, I just used a variable, but it's name actually names. Now you see here Zuckerberg is there. I can also use -1, of which it should still be Zuckerberg, because -1 we start from the other side and 0 from the left side, and -1 from the right side. -2 also should come to Perino if I do it -2. And if the list was long, you just go follow the same sequence until you have a sheep. So I think we have learned this part. Another thing here is to change the item values. So now -2 here, we know it's Perino. If we need to change the value of Perino, we can just use an assignment operator, and we define just the new names that we want to add. In this case, it was Elon Musk. Now, if I printed the name, you should see Perino should be missed out of the list. Now, if you look at the list here, the output, you will see the first one is Elon, the second one is Zuckerberg, which means we replace Perino by just pointing the index of the value that we want to replace. Now here -2 is pointing to Perino. That's why we replace it with Elon, and that's why Perino was removed and Elon was put into its place. That's the only way we can actually change these values. And also, we can append an item to the list. Before we have seen that we have removed Perino from the Elon Musk from the list. So we can actually append a new value, or we can, let me just say, we need to add this Elon Musk back, but we don't need just to manually define it within the list. We need to use some methods to return it back. In this case, we have to use appends. So we need to define the names of the variable that we need to append a value to its. So I'm going to use a dot append, and now the value that I need to append, in this case, it is Elon Musk. Now, if I print the name here and you look at the list down here, you will see Elon Musk is again returned to the list. Oh, and before we manually remove it out of it. Or we can just use the remove statement to remove something. So instead of, so here you have seen here, we have added Elon Musk. So just let me say this case, I want to Perino Gara, which means I'm adding Perino Gara again. So instead of that function append, I'm just going to add here remove. Just going to add here remove. So it should remove Perino from the list. Now you've seen here Perino is not there anymore. It's only one, which is Mark Zuckerberg. And we use this, and that's how Python exactly works. You just need to put the value name and the name of the methods. So if we want to add something or we want to remove something, just we leave this one here and then we use the dot and then we just mention the function name. And please try to do it with something. Just try to find any methods in Python and you just try to replace it and you will see how the thing would work. We can also iterate over the element of the list because here we have names, and if we print the names, you would see here it will be printed in the list, and that's how before you were wondering why are they all shown in this way. So to print them in, to print each, to print or to print them by iterating each value or each item in the list as a single entity, we use a for loop. So I'm going to say for x. X here is a variable, you can name it whatever you want. So I'm just going to say for x in names, name is a variable and x is a variable. X is the new variable that we have defined and name is just the one we are referring to. Print x. Now here they should be printed in a list. Now if you look here, Perino is printed first and Mark is printed beneath it. So we just iterate over element using for loops. So that's all what we have learned about list. And please go to Google. There's no way I can cover the entire Python here. List is very big and there are a number of operations, but now I'm just giving you the basic idea because this is just an essential part. And I believe by understanding this one, you can perform more operation. Just to perform an operation, we just need to put the names, then followed by dot, and then the function name, and then what you need to add. If it is indexing, you have already seen. Just watch this video again. And if you did enjoy, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and help me grow as we move with this journey.